phrase we try to get well known as criminologists is corruption kills. Elite fraud and corruption don't just cause monetary trouble. They maim and kill people, and they actually maim and kill more people than blue-collar crime, and it ain't close. Massively more people get maimed and killed by elite fraud and corruption. If you want things that kill even today and have killed millions and have made many tens of millions ill, there'd be things like cigarettes, where the government ultimately proved cigarette companies did in fact manipulate nicotine levels. And they manipulated nicotine levels for the obvious reason. Nicotine is the thing that most makes it difficult to quit. And they suppressed the adverse health information for years, and they had immense number of powerful politicians in their pockets because you make so much money through this kind of predation that it is chump change to buy big chunks of the House and the Senate. And big chunks of the House and the Senate acted as a brake against the National Institutes of Health and efforts and such for a very long time. And a now even more infamous example is the obscenities that were done to keep not just fentanyl out there, but to keep the massive overprescribing of fentanyl and the deliberate manufacturing of fentanyl in ways that made it easy to overdose. And then the Sackler family, which is a truly evil family, discovered that overwhelmingly your profits came from a tiny subsection of the sleaziest doctors who were just running mills, writing prescriptions for people that were clearly addicted, writing prescriptions for people who were obviously reselling the drug. So you can create an environment so corrupt that people at the senior level of ethical drug companies will deliberately take policies designed to maximize and to cover up, causing extreme morbidity and death. That's how badly you can corrupt people. People forget that large numbers of things that should be crimes are never made crimes deliberately by the people in power, and a number of things that shouldn't be crimes are made crimes by the people in power. Bastiat, a proto-French economist of centuries ago, got it right that when plunder becomes a way of life for men in society, then they develop a legal code that authorizes it, makes it legal, and a moral code that valorizes it. So a profoundly corrupt nation will not only be corrupt, it will have laws that facilitate being corrupt with impunity, and it will redefine corruption within the power group as something that's good, right? Something that's rational, that humans like to get along by giving mutual gifts to each other. And this is just mutual gifts in the hundreds of millions of dollars and all those types of things. Yes, the framers were profoundly worried about corruption, but in particular, they were worried about guys, American powerful politicians, selling the United States out to our foreign enemies. These were the hottest political issues in the young America for the first several decades. So when you come to the United States, corruption becomes a massive national issue when you have the robber barons. If you are a robber baron, the problem you have is other robber barons who might be able to beat you with more corruption. And this was the era when there was effectively a known market price for bribing a U.S. senator. And it was cheap, right? They sold themselves cheap, which is a particular problem in corruption. So it was the equivalent of chump change, and everybody knew it. That spreads the corruption throughout the Senate, throughout the judiciary. And then you end up with a rule of law that's Potemkin, right? It's just like a facade, a Hollywood facade, and behind it, there's nothing. And large numbers of people knew it. So that was the most notorious era of corruption in the United States until the modern era that we are now living in. Corruption in the era that I was talking about of the railroaders and such, it is now a molehill compared to the mountain of corruption, and we are every day. The consistent thing we are doing is making the United States massively more criminogenic for elite fraud and corruption. Whenever Trump uses the word corrupt to attack people, you know that's the area that he's corrupting, right? So they've just launched this destruction of any regulation of cryptocurrency, and Trump used the word repeatedly that the Democrats had corruptly were regulating it, right? They were barely regulating it all. But corruption is very much the purpose. And it's tied with the creation of a sovereign wealth fund in the United States. Well, what's that going to buy? It's going to buy vast amounts of crypto. What will happen to the price of crypto? It's been going down. This will reverse it. It will cause it to soar. All the crypto bros that were funding Trump, again, it'll be chump change what they gave compared to the massive gains that they're going to get. And then his other big initiative was selling golden green cards to the world's rich. Well, who's going to do that, right? These are the most corrupt plutocrats that are going to come. And what did Trump do? He also gave them a massive tax break. Now that's going to produce a tax benefits that'll be measured in the hundreds of millions of dollars. He sells things that will literally move trillions of dollars in the favor of the worst people in the world. And he's going to get $5 million a pop for these things. He's the world's worst negotiator if he's actually trying to negotiate on behalf of us, which I don't think he is. None of us could believe the decision on immunity. I mean, if there was anything that originalists, which these people claim to be, what did the framers have in mind? Is they wrote and they wrote and they wrote and they wrote and they used all kinds of metaphors to explain how the president must not be a king. And that is, in every meaningful sense, precisely what the Supreme Court has already made the president a darn near a king. And there's going to be more to come on this unitary executive theory as well that makes him more king-like. This isn't just going to cause a problem today. They are wiping out our capacity in ways that for at least 50 years are going to be incredibly destructive. And that is their goal.
Hey all, become that person nobody dares to argue with. Hit like, subscribe, and that little bell button for notifications. Talk to you soon.